Okay. All right. So our insurance program has four basic insurance programs within it. And these are actually all different policies. There's four different policies that make up the suite of insurance programs that we have. The first is our general liability insurance. Our second is the accident, death, and dismemberment insurance. Third is the directors and officers liability insurance. And then the fourth is for property and equipment insurance, which is on a request basis only. It doesn't come automatically. It's something that if organizations require, they can come and we can get a quote for them, and I'll cover that in a minute. So under the general liability insurance, think about this insurance as covering organizations and individuals against lawsuits for bodily injury or property damage. And that's the main focus of this policy itself is bodily image or bodily injury or property damage. The second one is our accident, death, and dismemberment, which covers individuals for any accidents, death, and disability that they may have. If there is a death or disability like loss of a limb, loss of an eye, those kinds of things, there's an automatic payout automatically based on the actual policy itself. If there is an accident and somebody requires, let's say they need follow-up physiotherapy treatment or things like that, which is quite common, obviously, in our world, that insurance comes into play only after any other existing policies the person may have are exhausted. So if an athlete, whether it's a child or an adult, has their own policy or is a member of their parents' policy, then those policies would cover the accident insurance requirements first. So any therapy would be covered under that. Once that runs out, or if somebody doesn't have coverage, then the AO policy would kick in. And again, these are for accidents, death, and disabilities that occur throughout an AO sanctioned event. The third one is the directors and officers liability insurance. And this covers individuals who are directors of AO member clubs. And they're essentially similar to the general liability, but this covers lawsuits for decisions that board members make that have a financial impact. So that's why you hear a lot about director and officer liability insurance for board members, is that anything that happens from a financial decision-making perspective, the directors and officers can be covered in case of a lawsuit that would name them directly as an officer of the organization. And then the fourth one is property and equipment insurance, and that can be obtained based on specific needs. There's a form on the website that you can click on and you can download and then just email it to Anthony and we can get the insurance quote for you. Just to give you an example, AO has $100,000 in coverage for equipment that we own, and that coverage costs us just a little over $500 a year. So the rates are very reasonable. We don't require any property insurance because we're leasing a location, so we don't need that kind of insurance. But the contents insurance is what we basically got there. So again, a little over $500 for $1,000. So if you are a club out there and you've got a lot of equipment, whatever that may be, if you don't have coverage already, you should be reaching out to us and we can look at helping you get coverage for that. And that's very specific. So just from a who's covered perspective, This is always one of the big questions that's out there. So who's covered under these policies? So within the general liability, essentially all incorporated member organizations, I mean, those are the organizations that can be sued. They have to be incorporated to be sued, and as well as individual members. Those would be covered. So your AO clubs, your race organizations, and also anybody that's named on insurance certificates. Oftentimes, when you're holding an event, like for instance at the Toronto Track and Field Center, when we're holding events there, we have to name the City of Toronto on the insurance policy, which then covers them under our insurance plan. Most organizations will ask for that whenever they're you're looking at renting a facility from them. The accident, death, and dismemberment, that covers any individual AO members, whether that's athletes, coaches, officials, associates, and volunteers. Any of those are covered underneath the plan. So if there is an accident at any one of the events, sanctioned events, they would be covered under that plan. Officers and directors liability, these are the individual members who are directors of an incorporated member organization. Again, only board of directors will ever be named in a clause, and this clause will cover that. The additional piece here is that the director and officer of the organization needs to be a member of AO. So they should be, and this is where we recommend that you have your board register as associate members of AO to ensure that they have the coverage for the officers and directors liabilities. And so what kind of activities are covered? This is the other second biggest question that we get. Basically, all approved and or sanctioned events of Athletics Ontario are covered, and this would include all of your board of directors meetings, any annual general meetings that you have, any fundraising activities you have, track and field meets, road and trail races, cross-country races, even tryouts and practices are covered. They just have to be deemed as part of the regular club organization structure, and then they are automatically covered underneath that. And on our website, under the insurance, there's links to all of the policies. I'm not going to get into the really nitty-gritty specifics of them, but you can certainly read them for those out there that you have interest in insurance policies. You can see what's specifically there. The other aspect is that in order to get an insurance certificate, you need to fill out the form, and then you actually need to download the form, fill it out, and then attach it to the website submission so that it then goes to Shahar, the office manager, and she will get it turned around very quickly. One of the good news is this year, we working with our insurance broker at looking at putting a new online insurance request form together, which will mean that you can do it all in one go, that you can just go online, fill out the form, and automatically have it sent to us and automatically sent over to the insurance company. And we're hoping this will not only facilitate making it easier, but also to speed up the process. So